This video I'm going to be comparing the Thing franchise to the Goofy movie franchise. You have John Carpenter's The Thing from the 1980s, which of course is an iconic sci-fi horror paranoia thriller movie. And then in 2011 there is a prequel movie called The Thing, which came out. The Goofy movies are from Disney. You have a Goofy movie and then the extremely Goofy movie. I've watched all four of these films. When it comes to the highest score for each franchise, in the case of The Thing, the John Carpenter classic has an 85%. When it comes to the Goofy franchise, the highest score is only 63% for the extremely Goofy movie, so Thing wins here. Then when you look at the lowest score, when it comes to The Thing, the 2011 prequel only has a 34%. With Goofy, the lowest score is a 59% for the first Goofy movie, so Goofy wins this round. Then when you look at average, The Thing has an average of 59, Goofy has an average of 61, so Goofy wins here. Then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, with The Thing you have a gap of 51. With Goofy you have a gap of only 4, which is obviously very small. So Goofy wins here, and thus, because it's won 3 of the rounds, it is going to win this debate, regardless of my personal opinion. But let's look at it now. And this is really interesting because obviously Goofy and Thing are two incredibly different things. It's 2 different tones, 2 different genres. I frankly enjoy both Goofy movies and think the scores should be higher than they actually are. When it comes to the first Goofy movie, it's about this kid named Max Goofy who has a dad that is definitely well-meaning, but also tends to be clumsy, and also he tends to embarrass his son. Clearly, he doesn't actually realize the things that he does, which annoys his son. He doesn't see that, oh, actually, my son doesn't want to go on this camping trip that I'm really passionate about. The dad really wants to go on a trip because it reminds him of his own childhood. He wants to do it with his son. We see that he's not intending to cause his son any harm. He loves his son and he just wants to do things with him, but he isn't really connecting with his son, isn't really realizing what his son actually wants. His son actually likes this girl and he wants to go to this concert because of that. So he's like, oh no, if I go on this camping trip, I'm not going to have time for the concert. But actually, at the end of the movie, Max and his dad go to the concert. And actually, right at the end, this girl reveals, oh, I actually do like you, Max. And actually, the dad gets to meet her as well. So, very heartwarming ending. I like the way this movie looks. I think the story here is simple, but pretty engaging. We have this father and son that mend their relationship as the movie goes on. They learn to connect better. Also, I think the voice acting here is really good. Then when it comes to the sequel, the extremely Goofy movie, I think this is a solid sequel that found a good way to continue this franchise that makes sense. Max is going off to college, so as you can see, so understandably, Max's dad is like, oh no, my son's going off to college. Oh, I'm not going to see him much anymore. I'm going to miss him. Man, it'd be nice if I could stay close to him. That's very relatable because that's not at all unusual for a parent who has a kid that's going off to college. You know, that feeling of, oh no, I'm an empty nester. That is sad. And actually, in this specific case, the dad learns that he needs to get a college diploma in order to get a job. So he's like, oh, if I need a degree anyway, then how about I go to the same college as my son? That'll be great, because then I'll be closer to my son. But Max is like, oh no, I don't want my dad to be in college with me, he's going to embarrass me in front of my peers. I want to, be accepted socially. I want to have friends, but if my dad's in college with me, then that's going to be harder. And then he's also trying to figure out which fraternity to get into. There's this fraternity, the Gammas, who are big on campus, but actually we learn that they cheat. They don't actually have any honor. So Max and his dad don't ultimately end up staying with the Gammas. Max initially tricks his dad into joining the Gammas so that his dad won't be around him as much. But then Max's dad actually ends up saving the day. He actually is the one who learns about the Gammas cheating. And also, Max's dad finds this lady that he actually likes that has a lot in common with him. So by the end of the movie, both Max and his dad are in a better place. Max has found the people that accept him, and Max's dad has found someone that he likes, so he actually has his own life more so than he did at the beginning of the movie. I think the visuals here are really good. The characters are fun to spend time with. I think the story is quite engaging. Max trying to make it at college. Max's dad going through that journey of learning to be okay with the fact that, hey, Max is not my little kid anymore, but he'll always be my son and I'll always be his dad. We'll always love each other, even if our relationship is not exactly the same as it used to be. I think that's all really good. When it comes to the Thing franchise, that John Carpenter original is a fantastic, though slow-paced paranoia thriller that looks really good. There's effective scares. You have characters that just feel believable. They feel like real people. Story that's really engaging about these people that are in this remote, secluded, isolated location, this base in Antarctica, learning about this alien creature that is taking over. They're trying to stop this alien creature, and as you can imagine, in this kind of scenario, because everyone's scared, they start being suspicious of each other. You have paranoia setting in. When it comes to the prequel movie that came out in 2011, man, I think the Rotten Tomatoes score here is way too low. I think this movie easily should be fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get what the problem is, because for me, this movie avoids the classic prequel problem. The classic prequel problem is answering questions I was not asking and providing unsatisfying answers. But in this case, I go, yeah, this movie actually is addressing things that I am interested in. It's answering questions I actually do want answered. It actually fills in the story of what's going on here. It's an effective prequel that shows you what happened before the events of the original movie in a way that doesn't detract from anything. I think it actually, makes things better. Again, I think the characters here feel like real people. They feel believable. I think this movie looks good. I don't think that it looks dated, visually speaking. So, man, I have no clue what the heck's the problem here. This movie, to me, really works. It feels aesthetically kind of similar to the original movie because our characters are again in a remote, isolated location, but I don't think it feels like a rehash of the original movie because it's just filling things in a way that makes the story better and more compelling. So we'll wrap things up for this video. I would say that I actually prefer this is a hard one. I'm actually going to say the Goofy franchise, frankly. Nothing against the Thing franchise. I'm not throwing any shade at it whatsoever, but I really like the story of these Goofy movies. It's pretty interesting. And the Thing is kind of similar to Body Snatchers. They're both paranoia thrillers, though they're certainly not identical. But alright, now that I actually said which franchise I like more, that'll actually be it for this video.